Okay, so here's an anti-aging up argument for hentai made by an actual minor, and apparently they got 35,000 other minors to like this, because I don't know who else would be in favor of arguments of this caliber. So yeah, I'm gonna just debunk this. I don't count it punching down. If they have this many likes and this much attention, I will try to be nicer, since they're actually a child, but yeah, I'm gonna try. So, let's take a look. Why the aging up excuse isn't valid, parentheses, by a minor who is tired of you gross adults. Fun fact for anyone, every single argument about like why art is bad, like any kind of art, it doesn't matter, movies, TV, YouTube videos, literally anything, it always boils down to it's gross. It always boils down to a disgust thing, so I'm glad we could get this out of the way immediately and say that yes, this is the core of the argument once again. What is aging up? Aging up is when someone takes a character that is underage and makes them older by means of drawing them older or making alternate universes where they are older. I want to make it clear I don't think aging up characters is all bad if you are making an AU for college or for future AUs with more adventures for the characters. That is completely okay, but it is not okay to age them up so you can make porn of minors. This diagram isn't bad, but I wanted to have a more direct one so I can kind of show off. Okay, this is Futaba Sakura from Persona 5. You can kind of tell that in order to paste this new image, I had to kind of cover up a side view of her, but please ignore that. This is a more detailed view of what he's talking about. Whenever you age up a character, in general, you make them taller, give them wider hips, like wider shoulders, you change the ratio of like their limbs to the rest of their body, larger breasts, you know, all that. You change all the context clues you would use to tell that someone is younger, and you make them reflect someone that is older. Usually this is because like a lot of popular media has characters in like high school, so to get around Twitter policies and to also, you know, give them fatter titties, artists will just kind of embellish a bit and they'll just say like, I made him older. And yeah, you could clearly tell that the image on the right, courtesy of Kinkymation, is much older than the one on the left, and is definitely 18, whereas the left one, I don't know the official age for Futaba, I think it's like 15, 14, 16, something like that. Not 18, but this one on the right is definitely 18. That's a more detailed view of what he's talking about. Yeah, as for this argument, I guess we'll get into, he doesn't really list why, he just kind of says it's bad, so I'm just gonna skip ahead. What you are doing is saying that it is okay to lewd minors if you pretend they are not minors in canon. You cannot make lewd fan art of, say, Eri from Boku no Hero and say, oh, it's okay, I aged her up, it's fine. You still looked at a minor and made the conscious decision to make porn of someone who is underaged. Now listen, I know many of you will say, oh, well, these characters are fictional, what does it matter? Fiction affects reality. I'm sure we all remember the case where two kids tried to murder their friend for Slender Man. This isn't exactly like that, but I will say that you are essentially saying you can lewd any minors you want as long as you pretend they aren't minors, which isn't okay at all. You can't just say they're older here like you suddenly control the show and how old characters are. Okay, first thing I'm going to talk about is the Slender Man thing. So, okay, I actually did the research on what he's talking about here, and this is what came up. I just googled Slenderman attempted murder, and this is what I got. First result. Apparently, two 12-year-old kids stabbed another kid in an attempt to prove that Slenderman was real. Both of them were found not guilty by mental disease or defect. This has absolutely nothing to do with what this guy is talking about right here. Just every single thing about both of these events are completely unrelated. Why you would try to relate how 18-year-old plus adults act in the pornography or whatever, compare it to two 12-year-olds who were not mentally stable and how they were influenced by a horror video game, I got no idea. Neither of these things have anything to do with each other. Maybe he'd have a point if it had something to do with adults that were of sound mind and body. But even then, like, I wouldn't relate like a horror game's influence on people to like porn's influence on people. They're super different. They have nothing to do with each other. So I got nothing. This is just not a good point. I know I've been kind of dancing around the issue, but I really do want to bring this up, is why the fuck is a minor criticizing anything that a hentai artist does with what they do? Like, just straight up, why the fuck are you here? Why the fuck are you... It's like a kid walking into a bar. He takes like a beer, drinks it, says, "This is disgusting, how dare you drink this," to like an adult. How am I supposed to react to this? How the fuck am I supposed to... Like, you shouldn't even be here. Why are you making weird demands of the people that should be here? You shouldn't be aware of what these artists are doing because you shouldn't even be in here making demands of this. There's my opening argument, is what the fuck are you talking about? You shouldn't even be here. Number 2, your Slenderman point does not reflect the actual clientele that should be looking at this, because adults are aware that fiction is not reality, whereas some children are not. That's why kids should not be looking at this stuff at all. Serious thing, number 3, not every artist is intimately aware with the ages of every single character that exists. I know this is kind of hard to believe, but not every artist has seen every single anime or played every game that exists. And even then, a lot of these source materials don't directly give out characters' ages. A lot of it is just kind of like whatever the dev said, or whatever the director said, or whatever a writer said, like in an interview. It's not stated in the show 100% of the time, and even if it was, it's really unfair to assume or expect every artist to just know this stuff. As it turns out, a lot of artists draw characters they don't even know. If you get a commission because you gotta pay rent and you don't know who the character is, usually you'll just draw the character. You know, if the description is fine and, you know, the money looks good, you'll just draw the character without really thinking about the details. Sometimes an artist just likes a character's design and they don't know the source material. Some artists just look at Frog Girl from Boku no Hero and they just go, "I like her design," and then they just give her fat titties, and that's, you know, they don't know how old she is, they didn't check, they didn't watch the show, and they shouldn't have to draw a character they like. And what artist is saying that they control the age in the show is what matters now? Like, that's the final say on if you can make hentai of something? Question about this post. So if tomorrow the guy who makes Boku no Hero just comes out and says Eri, or like whoever character that you don't want to see lewds of, they just say, "Oh, they're all 18 plus." Does that just make it okay now? Is that the only thing that matters? Like, does the body type of the character not matter? Does their design, does their demeanor, like if they act really young and they make like all kinds of weird sexual advances, are you okay with that as long as they say they're 18? Or that they're older than 18? Is that the argument here? Because that sounds like that's what the argument is. It's literally just whatever the showrunner says. In which case, so just get him to say on Twitter, "Yeah, Aries 18. Now what are you gonna do?" Now what are you gonna do? Yeah, fiction affects reality. I'm gonna need a citation on where people aging up younger characters for hentai contributes in any negative fashion to actual young people getting assaulted. I'm gonna need a source on that. I need to move on from this page. I decided to make this because I have noticed that many people making more and more lewd content of minors in shows, and no one is discussing it. As an actually minor, and having spoken to other minors, we all agree that it's disgusting seeing people lewd characters who are our age. I feel gross every time someone lewd Eri or Killua, or even Bakugo, because they know they are kids, but they choose to ignore that in favor of being horny towards literal children. It's gross. I don't understand how it's so hard for you guys to understand that lewding minors in any fashion is gross. Why is that such a hard concept for you to grapple? It happens a lot more with characters in anime who are 14 to 16, which makes a lot of minors very uncomfortable because most of them who watch anime are around that age group. I really didn't think I had to make this, but apparently the adults don't want to act like adults. You can definitely see the age of the author here whenever he's making... Is author even right? I guess author's accurate. You can see the age and they say like, oh yeah, characters in anime are all 14 to 16. It's like...
Are you sure about that?
You could tell he doesn't know what the fuck a Fist of the North Star is, what a Rurouni Kenshin is, none of that. Just everything he just knows is... He just knows about Nart, about Boku no Hero, about Hunter x Hunter. But once again, apparently there's a council of minors that is upset at the hentai sphere. Why the fuck are you here? Get out. Please get out. You aren't supposed to be here. There's a reason the 18 plus disclaimer isn't there for show. It's there because you're not supposed to be here. So no, I will not accept the council of minors telling people to fuck off. We will say fuck you. Get out. If you get caught, we're gonna tell your mom. Once again, they know their kids. Not every artist knows the age of every character. Whenever a commissioner sends in a request, they send them references and like a short, like couple sentence description. They don't send them their fucking wiki page. They don't know the age of every character. It's incredibly entitled to assume otherwise. To just assume that every artist should know this. They got other shit to worry about. And then, of course, it goes to, it's gross. I have no evidence, but it makes me uncomfortable. I don't like it. It's almost like you're a child and should not be here because you're looking at material you are not old enough to process properly. Get the fuck out. I don't understand how... Yeah, once again, just, it's gross, it makes me uncomfortable, blah blah blah. I really didn't think I had to make this, but apparently the adults don't want to act like adults. Act like a fucking kid. Why are you in an 18 plus, like, looking at 18 plus shit if you're not 18 plus? Go act like a fucking kid. Go play stickball or Fortnite or whatever the fuck you're supposed to do. Get the fuck out of here. I thought there was more, but that was it. Let me see what the description says. Wait. Oh, and to the very few children who lewd minors, cause oh, I'm a minor too, it's fine. Wait, what? There's kid hentai artists in this minor, like, 18 plus community? No. That's not allowed. Get the fuck out. Fuck out of here. Shut up. It's not okay. It makes it even worse. No punctuation. Or, is that? No. Well, shut up isn't capitalized. Okay, I guess inconsistent punctuation is worse than just wrong, but okay. I'm turning off comments since lots of adults want to argue that looting minors is okay. Do you guys know what you sound like? Oh, looting minors is fine. Shut up, actual minor. You guys sound like pedos, and frankly, it's gross hearing it from grown-ass adults. Fucking... an aged-up image is not the same thing as an actual, like, image of a child. That is why they are aged up. That's why there is a distinction in the terminology of the... Hold up. Let me get that fucking image again. Let me get that image of Futaba Sakura again. Is that image on the right, is that underage? If you didn't know who the character was and I just showed you this image, would you say that they're underage? No, you wouldn't. That's the point. That's the point of aging up the character, is so that you don't need to know. You don't need to do a fucking wiki dive to figure out if a character's underage or not. by the way, I hate that argument even more. Like, if you do a wiki dive of a character to find out that they're underage, you don't have a fucking point. If a character looks young and acts young and they're fetishized for being young, you have a point. You have a fucking point that, like, yes, this is, like, a minor that is put in these situations, okay. But if you have to fucking Google, like, Shantae's age to go into someone else's comments and, like, argue that she's underage, get the fuck out. I've played every Shantae game. It does not mention her age a single time. I do not know where the fuck they get the age for Shantae. It is bullshit. It is fucking bullshit. Like, if you have to go through a bunch of fucking interviews with the devs over the years to find, like, one instance that, like, one person said, I think she's, like, I don't know, 16 to, like, 19 or something, I don't know, and then you just take that out of context and be like, oh, she's 16, fuck you. Just fuck off. Straight up fuck off. TLDR, stop looting minors. It's not that hard. There are so many adults and you guys go after actual children. They're not actual children if they're aged up. Say it with me now. If you have to age up characters to loot them, you shouldn't be looting them at all. That's kind of like my argument of if you have to wiki dive to figure out a character's age, you don't have a point. But wronger. Again, the aging up excuse is something I've heard for a long time, and I have now recently this year realized how bad it can be when used improperly. Sorry, I was talking like shit. He spelled it fine, but how? What harm does it do? What fucking harm does it do? Give me an example. Give me a fucking example. You don't have one. You just don't have one. If you had one, you would list it right here. Is this what it's like for, like, the boomers to hear millennials talk about shit? Is to just get really... to just get heated like this, saying, just get the fuck out of here. You have no idea what you're talking about. It is... Oh my... So, yeah. This argument isn't very good. I hope I've demonstrated that for everyone here. Have a good one. And don't make arguments this dumb. Porn is cool and good. Aging up characters is fine. There's no evidence for anything this person's saying. For anything this minor is saying. And they don't have evidence, otherwise they'd have it. They'd list it here. I don't know how old this poster is, but they don't have an argument. They just think it's gross, and they're mad.